Right, and this is news that is just coming in. Naresh Goyal and his wife have been stopped from flying abroad. The former jet chief was stopped at the airport. Goyal and his wife, we understand, were traveling to London when this happened. Naresh Goyal, of course, had been spotted earlier in the city when he came down to cast his vote. Now, Mr. Goyal, Naresh Goyal and his wife, Anita Goyal, were scheduled to travel to London on EK 507 were restricted from boarding the plane and from leaving India. The plane, in fact, had reached the taxiway when it was recalled, and they were taken into custody by immigration officers. Utkarsh Chaturvedi now joins me with more on that story. Utkarsh, the news over here seems to be tightening around Naresh Goyal. You, of course, were the person to interview him when he came down to cast his vote in Mumbai.
Exactly. In fact, if you look at what has happened, let me give our viewers, first of all, the flow of events. It was a 4:30 flight. The flight was Dubai-London. It was an Emirates flight, if I'm not wrong. Then what we have been told is that the flight at 4:30 had taken off. In sense, started from the taxiway to go to the runway. And while that was happening, the flight was called back because the immigration officers really called the pilot and asked them to come back to the taxiway. Also, then what happened is that all the people were told at that point of time that there was a technical glitch. And that is when Naresh Goyal and Anita Goyal was deboarded from the plane and taken into custody by the immigration officers. Almost 4 luggages of Anita Goyal, or on the name of Anita Goyal, were also in the plane, and they were also taken back. That signifies one very important thing, that given the fact that the Ministry of External Affairs officers, immigration officers, have done this, that means that the lookout circular has been issued against Naresh Goyal. Because otherwise, immigration officers do not have a power to really deboard somebody till the time there is a lookout circular against that person. So that gives you an indication, and we can safely assume that a lookout circular has been issued against Naresh Goyal and Anita Goyal. Why? Because of the pending inquiry at this point of time. Because you have an ED inquiry going on, IT inquiry going on, as well as SFIO has taken the case.
Right. In fact, Utkarsh, what you're telling us sounds straight out of a Bollywood or a Hollywood pot boiler over here. Naresh Goyal and his wife Anita Goyal stopped when they were in the plane. The plane was on the taxiway, is what you're telling us, when the plane was stopped and they were deboarded. But also, if you could quickly take our viewers through the entire build-up, what exactly happened? How did Naresh Goyal, who was once heading the country's most successful airline, how did it come to a situation where he was stopped from leaving the country and was asked to deboard?
So, as I said, so three inquiries, the only reason why you can be asked to deboard is that there is an inquiry against you. Now, everybody knows that Jet Airways in the past 2 years fell into rough weather, and fell into rough weather how? That at this point of time, as we speak, it is on the verge of a closure. Now, what the MCA inquiry said, the MCA inquiry initially said, which has been sent to the SFIO, is that the profits which were declining were very unusual. Even though the other peers, the other partners, someone like a SpiceJet, Indigo was also not going through a very great time. But the jet, losses were humongous, and that was somewhere, that is something which the Ministry of Corporate Affairs has also raised questions. The income tax, there has been a raid of a sergeant survey of income tax on the Jet Airways office, on Naresh Goyal's house, and the income tax survey said that around 600 crore rupees plus. What the income tax department has found out is that the ticketing agents in Dubai were paid extra and money was being siphoned off, even though income tax has not yet really gone ahead with the investigation.
Right.
But that is the first part. And lastly, you speak about the Enforcement Directorate. The Enforcement Directorate has also, started the preliminary inquiry. What is a bit surprising here, and that's why you can say that it is more of, not letting people go, is more of a preventive measure by the government. Because generally what happens is that till the time there is no ECR or FIR, either by the CBI or even by any policing agency. As we speak, Naresh Goyal has no ECR, no FIR against him.
Right.
But The government acted in the preventive measure. It didn't want the Malia to happen again. It didn't want Nirav Modi to happen again.
Clearly, the government didn't want a Malia or a Nirav Modi to happen again. And this is preventive action, as Utkarsh Chaturvedi is just telling us over here. Naresh Goyal and his wife Anita Goyal have been prevented from flying out to London. In fact, officers stopped the aircraft at the taxiway and got the couple to deboard. That is a big story that Utkarsh Chaturvedi is getting us right here on Mirror Now. Time for a quick break, but stay with us. We'll be back with more.